And we are live, and this will be a rather short live stream video, folks. This will be just my segment for the Expert Council Q&A show this week. We have a really great lineup this week. We got Dr. Ron Paul and his crew with Liberty highlights for the week. We've got stuff on solar from Sean Mills. We've got a bunch of stuff on handyman stuff and DeWalt cordless lawn gear from Tim Toolman Cook. A whole treatise on starting a business in the cottage food industry with Nicole Sauce and a few others. Doc Bones on dental extractions and a grid down scenario. So we got a great podcast coming today. If you're watching this live, the whole thing will be available in the audio format on all the platforms and everything, and at the link that's in the video notes below about 1 hour after this live stream ends. And my disclaimer, as always, I will never contact you for any personal information or private chat, etc., in the video comments or on social media in general. If you want to talk to me, you need to use the email address jack@thesurvivalpodcast.com, TSPC in the subject line. Somebody starts asking you for any kind of information at all, just because you see an image that looks like me or my logo doesn't mean it's me. Next week, I'm going to actually have a screenshot for you of what I'm talking about that happens particularly on YouTube with people claiming that they are me with WhatsApp numbers. And Jack Spirko's never used WhatsApp in his life. So disclaimer done. Let's talk about what happened last night and the imagery of it more than anything else. Let's go ahead and pull up the image in question here. Somebody says it looks like Emperor Palpatine. There's been a lot of comparisons to V for Vendetta. Let's pull up one of those real quick. That's just dropped Biden right into the V for Vendetta scene of the dictator speaking, and it works dramatically well. That's the actual one of the dictator speaking. Screenshots of the dictator looking down at everybody from the movie, the red theme, it all works perfectly. Lots of comparisons being made to that. Kind of a little bit tighter image for those that are on the video right now of Biden with his fists in the air, the Marine officers behind him, the red lit background. The biggest thing out of this is if you don't know what's going on, if you haven't seen this, and I have the main image right now where he's talking, he's got the two Marines behind him. It's a more wide, like a 16:9 shot. American flags displayed, red light on the walls. If you looked at this and you didn't see this yet, you didn't hear about this yet, if somebody showed this to you, would you not think, Al, some of the right-wing meme makers just started playing with the image and photoshopping it and what have you? You would think, yeah, this is like somebody did something here. This can't be what Joe Biden's team thought was a good idea. This can't be what it really looks like. That's what you would think if you didn't see it on TV yourself. I want to talk about another thing with this, though. As bad as it is, let me pull it back up again for a second. This reeks, like the whole presentation reeks of like B movie, dystopian movie. If you actually compare the image to, for instance, what the intentionally creepy stuff looks like in the dictatorship that is in the movie V for Vendetta, it's actually much better. It's done better. If you're looking for the same effect, it's done better. Biden's is actually kind of just poorly executed. If this is what you're trying to do, right? I'm not saying I am saying it's a bad decision, but I'm saying in of itself, it looks B movie-ish. It looks like somebody that was like, we're going to make this dystopian film about the fall of the United States and the president becoming some sort of communist or fascist dictator, take your pick, but we don't have that much money. Now you have to understand something. Number one, these people have as much money as they want. There is no budget restriction on setting up the cinematography for a speech of the president of the United States at all. They have done things like flown aircraft overhead while it's going on and stuff like that, right? So it didn't have to be that way. Number two, it's not like they had the idea, they put all the stuff together and they turned it on. And while it was going on, they were like, that's not really what we were going for. They knew exactly what it would look like. They knew exactly what they were doing when they did this. They knew exactly what the result was. Now, you can't ever truly know the result of the reaction of the people that see it, but you can know what it's going to look like when it happens. And so it's not well done, and it's very poor optics, and I think the results are not going to be what you would think that they would want, but they knew it was going to happen. So maybe it is what they want. This whole thing looks exactly like what is being compared to, a dystopian movie about the fall of a nation. And we have to ask why. Now, there's some people that are very, very angry, and they're screaming and yelling, and they're going to the bad place we talked about earlier this week. I think that's one thing they want. They want the right to lose its mind over this. Now, you can miscalculate this too. There's a lot of talk in the media. And when I said I was going to have this discussion today on Twitter about the optics, not the substance of the speech, one moron clown, I don't know why some of these moron clowns even follow me, said that's what all the right wings do today. They don't want to talk about the disturbing problem inside the speech that makes them look so bad in their ultra MAGA fascist ways. Okay. Actually, I had to take my kids, I had to go pick my grandkids up today for homeschooling. Usually my wife does it. So I got to listen to AM radio. The only thing that the right is really talking about in the media today is the substance of the speech. I'll tell you why I'm a little bit bored with it. Everybody's like, oh my God, he said that. Oh my God, he said that. Oh my God, he said that. He said the same shit all week. This is a typical presentation of this type of a speech from a politician. They go out and they soundbite it all week long. They have their press secretary or whoever speaks for them, if they're not as big as the president, soundbite it all week long. Then they put all the shit together they said all week long, and they'll say in a speech, I was like, wow, you're idiots if you think that way. There wasn't a single thing that the dementia patient that occupies the White House said last night that he had not said over the previous 5 days in pieces, parts, all over. It's all the same shit. It always will be the same shit. That's the way they get him. Like, he's so dysfunctional. It's not just everybody does that pattern anyway. But in this case, it's like if we get him to say each piece a little at a time, and then we put him in front of a teleprompter and put it together, he might get through it a little easier and not go talking about corn popping and chains and people touching his hairy legs or something. Maybe we can keep him on point for 25 minutes to get this done. Right? So I'm not really interested in what he said. I'm not really interested in pointing out the hypocrisy. I don't really think it's necessary that every time something comes up like about Mar-a-Lago being raided to start talking about Hillary Clinton's emails. Well, it's hypocrisy. I don't need to call the Department of Hypocrisy hypocrites. That speaks for itself at this point. If you're going to talk about an issue, talk about this issue today, now, not because the left is just like, oh, we're going to talk about Hillary's email again. You all look like idiots. You all look like idiots arguing back. So I don't care in this speech about the substance because we're going to have this same discussion all the way through to the election, but that's what this is really about. Here's what I think. Number one, I think your government just told you you're the enemy. I think they just told you you're the enemy without having to worry about a single word that was in that speech in this picture. This picture says, if you oppose me, you are the enemy. That's what it says. I don't care if you like that. I don't care if you want to believe it. I don't care if you want to defend Brandon. I don't care if you hate Brandon. That's what this picture was designed to say. You are the enemy, and we have the power. The problem with that is you would think the Democrats would be struggling to keep every seat in the House that they possibly can save, and that the Dem will keep the Senate, maybe even grow their seats. This doesn't help that. There's nothing that was done out there that actually galvanized the left one bit. Now, I will tell you that, of course, they're going to defend it. But the left is so predictable. The diehard left, if he lost his mind in the middle of that speech, dropped his pants and took a deuce on the ground, pulled him back up without wiping, and went back into a speech, they would defend that. They would say, he's demonstrating how Donald Trump has shit on America with ultra MAGAism. That's what they would do. That's what they. So I don't care that they'll defend it. Defending it does not mean energized. Who did this just energize? Who just energized? Who got energized by this? Ultra MAGA. Notice how they changed that little subtle change there. By the way, we will talk one little bit about the substance. You notice he called it MAGA, not MAGA. MAGA. It's been MAGA for 5.5 years. It's been MAGA. Last night it turned into MAGA, and if you listen to the talk radio or mainstream news, right and left, everybody's on script. It just became MAGA. A memo went out. Everybody got it. Right and left alike. MAGA. Why? It sounds a little bit more guttural. It sounds a little bit more bad. We don't want to talk about what MAGA means. Make America Great Again. It's too positive of a message. For those of you who think that I support Trump over that, I'm saying that it's a tagline. Make America great. If you're opposed to America being great, what the hell's wrong with you? If you're an American anyway, you would like America to do well, I would think. Now we'll build back better. Basically the same slogan. But everybody got the memo. But now what you have, this idea that, well, he drew this line between mainstream Republicans and ultra MAGA Republicans. No. The average person, over 70 million people that voted for the Orange Man, just heard last night, you are the enemy, unless you do what I say. It's a threat to our democracy. And the only way to save our democracy is for everybody to agree with one party's definition of what we should do. So we can have democracy through a unified single-party system. That's what this says. That's what this picture says all by itself. You are with us or you are against us. But what I think is really going on here, they know they're going to lose. Now, here's the thing. As bad as things are, and with a midterm traditionally not being good for sitting presidents that already control the combined chambers. Traditionally, it's not. Go look it up. Look how many times a president came into midterms holding both chambers and held both chambers in a midterm. You're going to have to go way back. Most of you weren't alive. So it's traditionally bad as it is. Okay? They won't lose as bad as you're going to think that they're going to lose. The country's lost its mind, but they're going to lose. They may lose the Senate. They may not. They may come out of this with 51 senators instead of 50 and lose the House by about, I'm going to say, 40 seats disadvantaged. That's what you're probably going to come out of this with. You would think this would make Newt Gingrich's thing back in the 90s when the Republicans took over the midterms from Bill Clinton look like a joke. That was an epic landslide. I don't think you're going to get that this time. That's how divided the country is. So what's the play with this imagery? What are you doing when you're putting this imagery up in advance, right? Why would you do this? For the aftermath. What I've been hearing out of the left this week is all of America's problems are coming from the right and the ultra MAGAs, and they're destroying our democracy. The right has no power right now, politically speaking. Zero. Don't have the Senate. Got Kamala heels up Harris, breaking the tie. So the Democrats got the Senate. Democrats have the House. Not by a huge margin, but enough to do anything they want in the House. And they got Brandon ready to sign anything they throw in front of them because he doesn't even know what he's signing. But somehow the right is responsible here. They're playing this image up right now so that when they lose, they can blame the evil Republicans, and they mean you if you voted that way. They mean you if you didn't vote for Brandon. We're all going under the bus together. I don't vote. I'm an anarchist. I think your two-party system is really a one-party system. It's an illusion. It's designed to control you, and you're looking at it happen right here, right now. And you're being controlled with it. But I'm right-wing. I get told that all the time. I'm right-wing. So anybody who votes Republican for the dog catcher is being thrown under this bus as the enemies of America and made out to literally be terrorists at this point. What I want to finish up with a little bit is, why do people like me get labeled right-wing right now? You guys know I've spewed hate at the Orange Man. I spewed hate at Bush. I spewed hate at Obama. I spewed hate at all politicians, and I've done it for 14 years. But what I am is I'm factual. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm never lying. I can be wrong. It happens. I usually come out and say I was wrong. I got this wrong. I got this fact. I thought this was a fact. It turned out it didn't get, didn't vet out or whatever. And I'm sorry. But I try to be factual on everything that I report. And when I say I'm speaking with an opinion, you've literally heard me pause and say, right now I'm giving you my opinion. Just to be clear, when I'm covering these things, I try to do that, delineate always between facts and opinion. I did that with the covates. This is science. This is my opinion. And this is my opinion of science, right? And it's supposed science that's not science. I've always done that. How do I get labeled right-wing? It's always happened a little bit, and that's because I am an actual free market capitalist agorist, so you must be right-wing if you take that position, says the ignorant crowd with no idea what those things actually are. But right now, it's even more prevalent. And do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's because I'm actually throwing hatred at both sides. And I'm throwing it as equally as it is deserved by fact. All right? That's what I'm doing. And it turns out, when you have somebody on the left that is defending indefensible positions, and they know it, but they've made themselves comfortable with them by pretending they're not as bad as they are, and you shine a light on it, that it makes their side actually look worse, even though you're calling both sides thieving scum. You can have a scum level that is higher on one side than the other. So you got thieving scum, and one side happens to be a bit higher than the other. Turns out, when you point out that the left's hill to die on right now is the ability to talk to children in kindergarten, first and second and third grade, about the teacher's sex life, it makes the left look worse than the right. For all the bad the right does, that actually makes you look really bad. Being a freaking person talking to young children about your sex life. I don't care that they're transgendered. I don't care they're gender neutral. I don't care that they're Asian, Taiwanese, pansexual, reversion sexuals. I don't care what they are. I don't care if you're talking about completely straight freaking people, cisgendered, whatever. If I sent my kid to kindergarten, and they came home and they told me that you talked to them about your sex life with your partner, I am probably going to bury you in a hole. And that sounds radical. Oh, it's radical. It wasn't radical 10 years ago. And in 1985, 4 or 5 people would have been calling you up and offering you to use their backhoe. You don't talk to somebody else's kids about your sex life when they're that age and sent to school to learn C-spot run. So that makes me right-wing. Did I point it out? Did I point it out? You don't say that it's okay to have men compete in sports with women and destroy scholarships, records, and all the thing that women went for. You don't say that and not look bad, even to people that are on your side when they really see it clearly. You can't go out there saying you're talking about science And then when somebody says, what is a woman? You say, a person that identifies as a woman. And you say, well, what are they identifying as? And they say, a woman. And you say, but what is a woman? And they can't answer it. And then they say, science. And then they tell you, you have to do all these other things because of their science. You can't look good doing that. You can't even really look good to your side when it's clearly pointed out. The thing that has made the left lose its mind the most in the last few years has not been what the right has said about them. It has been the right simply providing them a platform to be seen clearly for what they're saying and doing. One of the most hated Twitter accounts on the planet is what? Libs of TikTok. What do? Do they go and edit a bunch of shit together and change things and comment on it? Do they have people like me that come out and say, look at this idiot over here? All Libs of TikTok does is go to TikTok, get videos of completely brainwashed, idiotic liberals defending things like saying a woman is anything, and it's okay for a man to get in a combat sport with a woman and crush her skull because the guy wears a dress. And it's okay for a kindergarten teacher to talk to a 5-year-old about their genitals. All they do is take that, put it on Twitter and say, look, here's what they're saying. All they did was actually spread the message that these people supposedly wanted heard, and they lose their minds about it. Why? Because when you actually see it, it looks so bad. So we got to go back to Brandon here with this imagery. And I don't blame or credit Brandon for this image. I don't think Joe Biden had a damn bit of input on this image. I don't think he did anything except do the best he could to halfway memorize a speech with his dementia and read a teleprompter. I don't even think he knew what he looked like when he was giving it. If you've ever stood up and given a speech like this, talk to a group like this with lights in your eyes, you can't see anything about what you look like. And then he wandered off with Jill and thought, I did a good job, and they gave him some ice cream and he went to bed. But people were behind this. And long ago, right after I got out of the Army, before I left Pennsylvania, I did some lights and sound work for a guy. Basically, I was a roadie. He did lights and sound for bands. I didn't know anything about what to do. All he would do is like hang these gels here and put these lights here and run these cables and stuff like that. He paid me cash money. I'd hang out in the bar all night long until the band was done playing. The amount of time that man put into making sure everything was the way it was supposed to be, for some garage band to come up and play for 2 to 4 hours in a coal town bar in Pennsylvania was impressive. How much do you think went into this? That's why I tell you that story. How much do you think went in to setting this image up to look exactly this way? Do you think that, unlike the TikTok liberal thing where they put the picture of these people or the thing about what these people are saying and they put it on display, and then they're like, oh, we didn't really want everybody to see. Do you not think that they knew that this image would be circulating today and being talked about today? They knew it. They knew what this would do. They fully intended to get the reaction that they're getting. Because when somebody says, well, Joe Biden's a dictator, and then he mumbles around and feeds ice cream to a seagull, that person's not taken seriously. Biden's not the problem. The state's the problem. He's just the guy they put in the image this time. But what I want to finish with, because I do think pointing out hypocrisy, if it's not constantly and 90% of your message, is worth doing. What do you think would have happened? What do you think would be going on today? Even on the right. If Donald Trump, when he was president, did a speech attacking the left the way that Biden attacked the right last night with these optics, with 2 Marines standing behind him, illuminated in darkness, but with red light behind them, so that their gloves glow like orbs, with the flags on both sides, with the lights in the runway. They could easily be compared to a dystopian movie. What would be going on right now if Donald Trump gave this speech now to really drive the point home? What if Ron DeSantis gave that speech just like that? Well, at least he's legitimate presidential candidate. So maybe lose their mind. What if it was Ted Cruz? At least you know his name. I'm telling you right now, if a Republican alderman on a city council gave a speech like this, it would be front and center in the MSN for 30 days about what a horrible picture this points to of our future. About what a great threat every Republican is. And if you don't immediately denounce this, there'd be calls. Have you renounced Alderman, Seymour from Sheboyganville for his video? And people would be like, I didn't even see it. Oh, you're a horrible person. That's what would be going on. So why do you do it? Because when you defend the absurd long enough in a society that lives and breathes on media and what they're told from the idiot box, and the idiot box used to be a television only. Now the idiot box is a computer monitor, it's a television, it's a cell phone. When the absurdity is defended, and that's the actual game here, boys and girls. When absurdity is defended, it is accepted. And this absurdity will be the next thing the American sheep will swallow and accept, that something like this is indeed acceptable. Not you, not me, but more people than you would think are going to accept this. And when they accept this, what does it mean for America, Western culture, and the average person, no matter which side they choose? See, the people that choose the dark side suffer equally under it as those who resist it. I'm going to just leave it there for a few more seconds before I sign off. I'm going to leave it there in silence. You take it in and tell me if I got anything wrong. If you think I did, don't use the live chat. Use the comments after the video is over, because I'm going to want to read them. Let me know. What do I have wrong here?